Fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2540. Woohoo, we're getting up there in numbers. Yeah, so our question today, where was your family when, they learned to whistle, yodel, or sing? You may not think about that much, but a lot of kids and stuff would be out there if they're out in the farms there. They might be whistling a tune that, where were they when they learned how to whistle? I had people trying to teach me about there's a way that you can like put your fingers like this and in your mouth and whistle. I can't do that. I never figured it out. I was given many, many lessons on it, never figured it. I just got the going. And I knew people who couldn't even do that. I like doing the inhale one where you go as well, but I don't really do tunes with that one. Yeah, all sorts of things. Singing, I sing a lot. I sing around a lot, not as much as I used to. But as a kid, what kid did not stand in their bedroom with their hairbrush in their hand and that was their microphone? Loved those days. Don't do it as much. Sometimes I will sit here with my pen and use that as a microphone. But I sing. I actually enjoy writing songs now. So it's changed over time. But I learned years ago when we were at my grandma's house one time, and that's my dad's mum. And she told us that she used to go down the back of the farm that she grew up on and would yodel. And I'm like, yodeling? What's that? And she actually sat there and yodeled for us, which was amazing. And I was like, well, I want to learn how to do it. I still haven't learned how to yodel. I know something about going the ups and the downs and the timing. And yeah, I just haven't learned that. But I love listening to people when they can yodel. That's absolutely because it brings back memories of my grandma and sitting there listening to her yodel as well. But she was a very good whistler, and a yodeler. Don't remember her singing much. Yeah, I don't remember her singing much, but she used to go down the back of the farm and yodel down there at the back of the farm to the cows. So the cows got to hear my grandmother yodeling when she was a girl. So what sort of stories do you have around that in your family? Do you have people that yodel? Do you have people that sing? Do you have people that whistle? Music has a wonderful way of connecting generations. And whether it's learning to whistle on a summer afternoon, mastering a yodel in the mountains, you don't have to be in the mountains, but in the back paddocks, or singing around the family piano, these simple moments often became treasured moments. They weren't just about making music. They were about sharing time together, learning from one another, and filling our home with laughter. I remember being on a business trip one time, and one of the guys there was very good at playing the piano, and they happened to have somewhere in the hotel, there happened to be a piano that was in an area that didn't get a lot of foot traffic, and we just kind of met there in the evenings just to unwind from the day and everything else, just to sit and chat and talk and all that. And one of the guys one night got up there on the piano and he was taking requests, and we just basically had a sing-along around the piano. It was awesome. It was really, really cool. And somebody else kind of played the piano, and he would get on the other side of the seat and start. So you had the dueling backwards and forwards on the one piano, which was amazing, and playing duets and all that sort of thing. But the number of times that I've been somewhere and there's been a group of us, like a youth group or anything like that, and somebody pulls out a guitar and starts playing tunes on the guitar, and the next thing you know, you've got the sing-along going. And people may whistle. I've been in a place where people would whistle the tunes to help us get going. Like they would whistle the first few bars, and then would just start singing along and then have nothing else but them chiming in with whistles every now and again. The only yodeling I've heard is from country singers when they've done it on their records, their albums and things, or my grandmother when she demonstrated how to yodel, how she used to yodel in the backyard, down in the back paddocks when she was a little girl. So that was the only yodeling I'd ever heard live. All the other yodeling came from country and western singers who would yodel on their albums and things. But I still remember that time just sitting there listening to my grandmother yodel and thought it was the most wonderful sound I had ever heard. It was absolutely magical. And a lot of times families would gather. Somebody would be able to play an instrument of some sort. And sometimes the family gatherings would always include music. People would bring along their instruments, and they'd sit there and play their instruments together, and everybody would be singing along, have these big sing-alongs and things. And I loved those times. I love those times when we're able to sit down and just have a sing-along, whether it was with a youth group, whether it was with a work group, whatever group of people I was with when we had the sing-along. Those were the most magical times of whatever event I was at, was us sitting down and just having a sing-along. Love those times. Half the time I couldn't tell you what else we did, but I can tell you that we sat around a piano and we had to sing along. The best memories of some of those group events I went to was the sing along, and that's basically all I remember about it. Couldn't tell you what else we did on some of those trips, but sing along we definitely had. And some people would bring their guitars along because it's a portable instrument. So they'd put the guitar in and pull that out some nights when we're just sitting down chit-chatting and all that sort of thing. They'll bring out a guitar and just start picking away on the guitar, and the next thing you know, we're having a sing-along. I love those, especially around a campfire. That was awesome. Sing along around the campfire with a guitar. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So every family has someone who is always singing. Yep. If you did your mother always sing when she was busy baking or cooking or doing the housework? I used to like to dance with the vacuum cleaner. I used to put, when everybody would be out of the house, like out in the yard doing yard work and stuff, I would be inside. I'd put the stereo on, put my record on, and I would sing along with that record and make up dances to go with them and all that, and little storylines as to how I was singing that song and not just the person how I was singing a duet with the person who was on the album or something. Perhaps they sang while they were cooking dinner, working in the garden, driving the car, or putting children to bed. Sing-alongs in a car on a road trip, awesome time. Great way to kill time when you're on long road trips and stuff. Others could whistle a tune that everyone recognized or had a yodel that echoed across the hills and valleys. Those sounds became part of the family soundtrack. I did have to put a kibosh on the kit, and I regret this because they sounded really cool. It's just that my ears couldn't handle it. But Brad's boys, when we were doing some road trips, would start whistling in the car, and my ears could not handle it. It really did hurt my ears. If we were outside and they were whistling, not a problem. But if we were inside in that confined space, it was echoing around the car, and it actually hurt my ears. So I'd have to put a kibosh on them whistling, which was kind of annoying to have to do that. Many musical traditions are passed from one generation to the next. Harmonica, that's another instrument that people would pull out and start playing, the harmonica. That little thing I had one on my desk at one point, but I don't think I've unpacked the box that's got it in there. But I know I have seen my harmonica around. I still can't play it. I have seen my harmonica around, but I don't know where it is. It might be in a box in the garage. So the things were passed out. The ukulele. People would play the ukulele, and they would pass that tradition along. Lots of musical instruments got played over the years by different people in different generations, and some of them passed those lessons onto the younger generation, taught them how to play that instrument, which I think is absolutely amazing when you sit there and you've got a parent and a child, and one is teaching the other how to play an instrument, which I think is absolutely wonderful. Many music traditions were passed from one generation to the next. Favorite songs, hymns, lullabies, folk tunes, and even funny family songs carried stories, culture, and memories long before they were ever written down. Hearing an old melody today can instantly bring back faces, places, and moments from years gone by. And think about the time, you'd have the family songs, the funny family songs. They'd probably take something like a traditional song and just change the words around in the song to make it their song. There are little details that make family history come alive. We may not remember every conversation, but we often remember the songs people sang, the tunes someone always whistled, or the voice that filled the room at family gatherings. Absolutely. It was one of my other ones I just had that just flashed through my head. It literally flashed through my head. It'll come back to me later. So your challenge today, ask a family member who in your family was known for whistling, yodeling, or singing. Maybe all three. What songs did they love? Did they perform, sing at church, entertain the family, or simply sing while they worked? I found out a few weeks after, 3 or 4 weeks after I arrived in New Zealand, we were on a road trip, and found out that my dad used to be a soloist. And I said, but we're not even Catholic. Because I would have the boys' choir with the soloist in it. And apparently Dad got sent along to this woman in the neighborhood or somewhere close by that he could walk to, and have soloist lessons with her. I don't know at what point he stopped singing, but he used to be a soloist in church. So, I didn't know that about my dad. I just learned that, he's 82, and I learned that a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, that my dad used to be a soloist. And I was like, that's pretty cool. Did they perform, sing at church, entertain the family or something. No, with my singing during my youth group years, I was in musicals. Our church youth group did a lot of musicals. We had some great time. In fact, the minister for the church that I go to now was here the other day visiting, and we're covering all sorts of topics and stuff. And I was talking about my youth group years and what I missed about those years and stuff. And I said, I miss the musicals. And I mentioned being at summer camp down near Blenheim. And it turned out that his wife was at that camp at the same time that I was. And I said, we had a couple, 2 or 3 groups that were doing the Return of the King, which was all based on clowns. And we had 6 clowns in full clown makeup and full clown costume. Then there were 4 of us who were in partial makeup and partial clown costume. And so we got talking, and he goes, see, I know that musical. And talked about his wife being in it as well. And I said, yeah, we did that down there, and we went to some of the churches and performed it there for them. Then when I got back home to New Plymouth, to the youth group I was part of, we did it there as well. And I had got to play the same character that I did when I was down in Blenheim. I was Quo, as in status quo. We had Crastinate, as in procrastinate. Salty was the main character. And all of a sudden I just burst into, and I said, the one song I can remember is the beginning one, and all I can remember is the beginning of it. And I just started singing it right there. And then he goes, yeah, he says, I remember that song. And then we talked about another musical, other musicals that we'd done in the youth group. And I'd just start singing little pieces of it as they popped into my head. And he goes, I remember that. So me thinking that these musicals that we were doing at our church were just our church doing that. No, they were being done throughout the country. And people like our minister and the minister's wife used to participate in these. And strange turn of events, the minister's wife happens to be the niece of my uncle. So her mother and my uncle are brother and sister. And my uncle married my dad's sister. So, so when we finally got to meet in person, I called her my cousin-in-law. So you never know who you're going to meet. And our paths have crossed over the years, and we didn't even know about it, which was absolutely amazing. So the next time I see her, we're going to have a little talk about some of these summer camps that we did. But it was just such a cool thing to sit there and talk about some of these musicals that I had done at youth group and things. And I never did any solos at youth group. I did do a solo one time for a singing competition at school, but the person playing the music did not play it correctly, which annoyed me because she's a vocal coach and she plays the piano. And the fact that she didn't recognize the cymbals or whatever, or decided to not play the song correctly, I don't know. I had another friend who played the piano, and she was also in the competition as well, but she would play it for me during rehearsals. She played it perfectly every time. And and even the kids that would hang out, I was one of the kids, some of the other kids that would hang out when we were practicing and stuff, they were learning about the stage and the microphone, and I was teaching them how the microphone worked and all that sort of stuff. Some of them came along to the talent night, and they're like, what happened to your song? They didn't play it correctly. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to be a soloist. That's fine with me. I'm happy to be part of the choir. So there's all those sorts of memories that come up as well. So record those memories today, because every family has its own unique soundtrack waiting to be remembered. If you're at reunions and somebody plays the piano, break out some sing-along stuff. That would just be so cool. And have somebody videoing it, or if somebody sings, plays whatever instruments they play, have them come play them. If get together and maybe get a group of them together that play instruments and say, hey, let's play these songs and get the family singing. What's some of the family songs that have become known as your family song, because it's one everybody in the family knows, everyone in the family likes to sing it. What's some of those songs? Let us know in the comments below about some of the stories that you uncover. And there's going to be some really cool stories that you're going to hear. Like me finding out my dad used to be a soloist when he was a kid. I was like, he was? Okay then. But I thought that was really cool that he was a soloist. I'm just a little disappointed that I never got to hear him sing as a soloist as a kid. But then that wasn't physically possible. But of course there was no recordings of it either. So them's the things. But anyway, go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow.